Hey, what's up everybody? This is Flashback Toys and Collectibles. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Intergalactic Skeletor from the Masters of the Universe Classics toy line. So this is a remake of the new Adventures of He-Man Skeletor. And that's this guy right here. And I will be doing a side-by-side comparison with these two figures. The front of the box has some nice artwork saying Space Mutants, Skeletor, Intergalactic Overlord of Evil. And then on the back it advertises some of the other figures available in the Classics toy line. And then it has a description of the Skeletor at the bottom. Skeletor, Intergalactic Overlord of Evil. Real name, Keldor, of the House of Miro. Wounded by Hordak's final buzzsaw attack at the end of the Second Ultimate Battleground, the victorious Skeletor mended his body with a techno virus from Preternia. Having learned of the might of the Horde Empire, he abandoned Eternia in search of a grander prize, the entire universe. So I was able to purchase this figure for only 26 bucks from BigBadToyStore.com, and that's very close to what retail price would have been when it was originally released back in 2014. Okay, let's go ahead and open this up. And a lot of times with the Classics toy line, I like to open them from the bottom. So what you can do is use a razor blade and cut along this edge and go all the way around. And that creates a flap that you can open. And then you can pull the figure out from the bottom. So by opening it this way, you can save the box for display purposes if you choose to. So inside the box you get the Skeletor figure, a faker head, which is a huge bonus because this figure is only 26 bucks. And a staff, and this staff is pretty wicked looking. Let's go ahead and take all this out of the packaging. And one thing I'm noticing right away is his hand is really soft. It's like a really pliable rubber, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but I guess I'll find out. Now let's take a closer look at Intergalactic Skeletor. So this guy has some amazing detail throughout his body. If you take a close look here at the chest, you can see there's all kinds of things happening here. On his arms, on his shorts there's a skull. Then if you take a look at the legs, you can see all kinds of robotic details built in. And here's a look at the faker head that comes with this figure. And it kind of has a Terminator 2 look to it. You got the half face, half robot, with the orange hair and blue skin. So this extra head is meant to be for the faker action figure from the Classics toy line, but it also fits on this Skeletor, and I will be trying that out here in a few. Now let's take a look at the skull, and this has some wicked details in it. Those teeth look gnarly, and this Skeletor really looks evil. He does have a removable helmet. Go ahead and slide this off. The helmet's made with a somewhat pliable rubber, and it's kind of a charcoal silver color. And there's a look at the skull without the helmet on. He's got some built-in robotics on the back of his skull there. And you can see it going down his spine as well. The cape itself is made of a pliable rubber. It is kind of stiff, but you can bend it. I really like all the robotics that's built into this armor, especially these skulls towards the top here. So this guy has some decent articulation. We can move at the shoulder, the bicep, the elbow, and the hand can twist back and forth. Now these hands are pretty soft. You can see the fingers are really pliable. He can also bend at the torso a little bit, and he can pivot at the waist. Also, the upper leg can move, the knee can bend, the boot can swivel side to side, and then his foot can move up and down. Let's take a closer look at the staff. And this is also a charcoal silver color. There's a cool evil looking skull here in the center, and it appears to have a spine that wraps around the staff. And then at the bottom of it here, it appears to have a blade. So that's a pretty wicked looking staff. So for the most part with this figure, everything looks pretty cool, except for the torso area. And this is the one big problem a lot of people have with this figure. He looks really bulky in the torso area, and that's because he has some armor that goes over the top of a regular Skeletor body, making him look really thick. So basically this whole piece right here is just chest armor. If you take a closer look here, you can see the body underneath right here. And you can see that's just a regular Skeletor body underneath there, which is already a pretty good sized body and fits the figure well. But when you put this on top of that body, it makes it look pretty big. And I did try to take it apart right here, but since it's glued together, it started to rip, so I just stopped and left it alone. And there's a look at how it wraps around the back. Again, you can see the body underneath right here. But it does have some very cool detail that's underneath the cape right here. On the spine right here, you can see the robotics that are built in. And here's an example of what Intergalactic Skeletor could look like if he had just a molded body versus the chest armor over the top of a body. If you take a look here at Laserlight Skeletor from the classic toy line, you can see that the torso on this body has been molded in one piece. And because of this, he has a more normal sized upper body. And you can really see the difference here when you compare these two figures side by side. Now let's compare the 2014 Intergalactic Skeletor with the new Adventure Skeletor that was released back in 1989. So the new Adventure Skeletor does come with a helmet, but unfortunately I do not have that piece. So we're gonna have to compare these two without the helmet. So both of these figures have been mended with the techno virus, and that gives them the built-in robotics that's pretty much covering their whole body. Okay, let's check the height of these two figures. So Intergalactic Skeletor stands at about 6 3/4 of an inch. And this guy stands at about 5 1/4 inches. So he's quite a bit smaller. Okay, let's go ahead and compare the two skulls with these figures. So they both have white on the front. The eyes on the original have red with a black outline. And on the newer figure, it's red with a purple outline. And then inside the nose area, it's purple on the new figure and black on the old figure. And for the teeth on the original figure, it looks like they're just painted on. And for the new figure, he has some gnarly teeth. So the paint scheme for the skulls is somewhat similar. You got the white on the front that fades to green and then eventually turns blue on the back. But when you compare these two skulls side by side, there is a night and day difference with the detail. The skull on the new figure looks amazing. While on the old figure, it's okay, but definitely not my favorite Skeletor. There's a look at the back of the heads. It's got those same robotics and the same things happening down the spine there. Again, the detail's way better on the new figure. If we compare the two chest areas, the general shape is the same, but the actual parts that's on the robotics seem to be different. And if you take a look here at the chest area, you can see that all the robotics have been molded in to the body, unlike the new figure. Now let's take a look at the shorts. They're both kind of a bronze color with a red belt and a silver skull. And if we move on down to the legs, you can see a lot of the shapes are the same. You got that same red piece on the sides there. Some of the same wiring on the thighs. And then if we compare the boots, they're the same color and same general shape. When comparing the articulation between these two figures, there's really no comparison. The new figure has way more movement. The head on the original figure can only swivel side to side, while on the new figure it can swivel side to side and up and down slightly. The arms on the original figure can move up and down, but there's no joint at the elbow or wrist. It can pivot at the waist, and when you pivot at the waist, it does make the arms move up and down, which is kind of cool. For the legs, they can pivot towards the top and bend at the knee, but there's no movement in the foot area. So overall, after comparing these two figures, I think they've done a great job on recreating the original Skeletor from 1988 into this classic figure. Now just for fun, let's see what this faker head looks like on the Intergalactic Skeletor. So this head does pop off, but it is pretty tight. Now let's pop on Faker's head. And to be honest, this head was a super tight fit on this body, so I did have to do a little bit of sanding to make this head fit on this body. And there you go. That's what Faker's head looks like on Intergalactic Skeletor. And I think it looks pretty good. Although the blue is a slightly different shade, but I think it still works. Especially with the robotic theme that is on this figure, I think it matches this faker face well. I find this head really cool. From this angle, it looks just like a regular faker head. And now he's half robot. So overall, I think this is an awesome figure. It does have an issue with that torso area being kind of oversized, but that doesn't bother me so much. The arms are cool on this figure, the legs look cool, and it's got an awesome skull with a very cool staff. And I got this figure for only 26 bucks, and it also included an extra head. So I think that's a great deal, and this is going to look awesome with the rest of my Masters of the Universe collection. Okay, it's now time for me to go. If you like this video, if you could hit that like button, and have yourself a great day, and I'll see you next time.